We've been asking people that we are going to meet you, and Bira is a very famous brand. It's a household name, and people have a lot of questions. Bottled beer better than a canned beer? Is it true?
I mean, it depends on the person and the profile. It has some differences as well.
Tell me what's the difference. Like people tell me there's more fizz in bottle.
So I mean, bottle can hold more pressure because of the density of the bottle, and the cap can pretty much absorb some oxygen pickup that it can get from the packaging. But the can also preserves from the light, which degrades beer, and it skunks your beer. So that's why I prefer a can over than bottle, but it's up to everyone. And also the keg is always CO2 pumped, so you're always gonna have a fresher beer rather than the other both.
So alcohol is bad. Disclaimer. But when people talk about the healthiest of alcohols and everything, they place beer at the bottom.
Yeah.
Tell me the truth. Is there a healthy beer?
I mean, there's healthy beers, yes. I mean, not alcohol is healthy for sure. But for example, our beta, like it's 83 calories, only 3 grams of carbs, and it's our lightest beer. But beer does have a lot of caloric content, but also has protein. It has a lot of vitamin D. It's good for the bone density as well. Just see it as liquid bread. You know, it's literally liquid bread.
What's the right temperature for a beer to be served?
A proper temperature to be served, it depends on the conditioning of the beer.
Okay.
If you warm it up, it will enhance more of the flavors. So I would say a chilled beer is good, but it will numb your senses. So I would say like around if 6, 7, just let it warm a little bit, and then you can experience more flavors and enhance more of the properties of the beer.
Does every beer type need to be absolutely chilled?
No.
Give me an example where...
For example, the misconception of high chilled beer comes from American lagers.
Okay.
You know, they were like very heavy on adjuncts, very heavy on you know, adjuncts just sting the beer. Let's say rice, corn. So they want to have it colder because first it's refreshing, of course, but it's also kind of like that marketing scheme. But like, for example, if you go to England and you order a cask ale, for example, it's gonna be all like warm temperature, room temperature.
Is it?
Yes, they're conditioned warm. So that's pretty much a style. It's actually an art. Cask ales are an art to make.
And the mugs to be chilled as well. Is that a thing?
No, I would not recommend that for a lot of reasons.
Tell me.
Because so CO2 gets concentrated because of glass, because of the cold. So if the glass is cold, then the CO2 won't escape the beer.
Okay.
That will tend to have less aroma and all that. Another thing is that if you put the mug inside a fridge, all that particle inside is gonna go inside, and you're literally drinking that. So yeah, it's not really.
A lot of places the mugs are right out of a chiller, right?
Yeah.
So that's not the right way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, to each his own. But when I get that, I ask for a regular mug.
So what do you get here?
Yeah, if we chill them, we do have like a fridge especially for that without anything else. But we don't really serve chilled. We just serve it room temperature. Yeah.
Does the color of the beer have anything to do with the alcohol content?
No. There's alcohol.
Darker beers, more alcohol. That's a question we got.
No, yes. That's also something that it's morally fairly education. For example, our Malabar Stout is a dark beer and it's only 4.5%. So same as Guinness, yeah. So let's say, dark beer comes from dark malts. So you get those malts because of roasted. They get more caramelly. You know, they just have different properties. But it doesn't really boost the alcohol. The alcohol comes from pretty much the recipe. You have to, of course, enhance your sugar content to have more alcohol.
And darker beer is being more bitter. Is that true?
IPAs, I think IPAs have that. They're the king of bitter beers. But dark beers have that roasty astringency of, let's say, coffee. Coffee is bitter, but it's like an astringent bitter. So that's pretty much the same as beer.
What about beer bellies? A lot of my friends don't.
The anatomy of a brewer. Like, don't trust a skinny brewer. Beer adds gut because, of course, the calorie content. Yeah, it's always gonna be like that. Again, you're drinking liquid bread.
So it's nothing with beer. It's just high calories. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, so wine and cheese, beer and.
Oh man, I think beer is more versatile with wine, and that is something that is always done as a fact. Beer, so the fizziness in beer can lift and boost the oils that the cheese has in your palate, and it pretty much cleanses your palate. When wine just makes it a little bit more kind of like waxy, more stale. I'm not saying anything against wine. I love wine as well. But beer in general, with food, with everything, it's a lot more versatile than wine.
But why is
with cheese?
Why do you say wine and cheese? It's what is the logic of cheese and wine together?
I mean, I guess it's the marketing thing of making wine nice, and more high end. I believe that beer has had the misconception of being a cheap product.
Yeah, that was the question.
And which honestly, like it's not really how beer should be portrayed. Beer should be portrayed as a culinary thing, not as you can get a can for 100 rupee, but that can go with any cheese. It can go with salad. You can do it with like a burger, like even peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Something that wine cannot do. And same as spice. Like you have something like very spicy food with wine. Wine is gonna degrade that, but beer is gonna elevate it because of the properties.
One more question is that tap beers are diluted. They're not as.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
No, so tap beer is the same as a can or a bottle. I believe that it's fresher because it's always under CO2 pressure. So there's no oxygen pickup in it. Which oxygen, if your beer gets oxygen, it starts degrading to the point that it's kind of like gets some like stale flavor, kind of like cardboard kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we always want to avoid.
What's the shelf life of
a beer?
Yeah.
It depends on the alcohol content and depends on the style. The best way to drink beer is fresh, 100%. I would say the first 3 months is great, 3 to 4 months, depending on the shelf life of the beer. For example, IPAs tend to be fresher, better because hops tend to fade every time that it's. So you want to have that fresh beer. But an imperial stout, which is like, I would say, not in India because we have only up to 8%, but I've made 12, 13% beers that you can last for years. Like wine, you can age like wine.